going?
I don't know, man. I never heard of this stuff. You ever heard of that? And
Yep, there he is.
it's got some kind of scratch all over the side of it. I don't know what that is. But
Can y'all hear me?
Yep,
yes, sir. We see you too.
fine, yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the rest of your trip down here? What, bud?
Oh, absolutely, man. I love New Orleans. I'm actually going to try to come down there and see you guys this weekend if it works out with Bobby and them. So
Okay.
we'll see how that works. The wife just had shoulder surgery, so I don't know if she'll be feeling up to it for me leaving or not, but it looks okay so far.
Yeah, that's why they gave her two hands, right?
That's right. And two daughters still home, so the oldest is in college. But I guess we'll give it till 7 o'clock. Hopefully we get some people on and we'll start the discussion then. I appreciate y'all taking the time to do this.
I'm gonna have batch 0 with you after.
Look at there.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones that we did.
You must know a guy,
Look,
huh?
I don't know him too well, but he's a pretty cool guy.
All right. This one comes straight from the barrel, so it's kind of special.
Yeah, that's more. I don't even have one of those. That's more special than me.
you got the rest of the barrel, man.
You ain't got a whiskey tree, do you?
I don't. I sure need one though. Maybe this weekend, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. When you coming?
I think Bobby and them are coming down Saturday around 10.
That's the
10
we're doing
o'clock. That. Yeah, it's that one for Spillway Wine and Spirits with Mississippi Sippers.
Okay.
Yep. Riley said he'd be there as well, so pretty excited to see him.
That's gonna be a decent sized group, huh?
Yeah.
It is.
I'll have
to watch myself.
Yeah, you're gonna have to drive back.
Yeah, I got more whiskey to drink that night, so I can't get too crazy. Last time we went to Distillery Caden over there with Philip and them, and man, he just rolled out the red carpet and we drank until we couldn't drink no more. We ended up picking up some good stuff.
There's some nice people over there.
I think Philip's coming Saturday, huh?
I've heard that. That's what Riley said.
Maybe something like that.
Right.
He sent me a text. So that'd be good.
Yeah, buddy.
I usually get to see him at events and things like that, like the Bourbon Festival and all of that. But I need to go down there and visit him.
Absolutely. Do you guys do Bourbon by the Bay in Mobile?
No, we haven't.
It's coming up in November. I think I'm going to Brandon for Sipping on the Sip with Justin and them, kind of like a fundraiser around the 15th or so, and then maybe the 17th that Sunday, I think, is Bourbon on the Bay.
Yeah, I'm sure Riley's got it in the works. It just hadn't hit the calendar just yet.
Gotcha. Have we made 7 o'clock yet?
No, we got 6 minutes left.
Okay, well, let's just give it a little time. We'll just I don't want to start any of the good stuff until we got most everybody on.
Check this out.
What year is that?
No, so this is an Infinity blend that I had 11 year, and my wife found the sticker to go on here, and now it's my Infinity bottle.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah,
the funny thing is, I had a friend hit me up today wanting me to find them an 11-year bottle, and I'm trying to find it. So.
Yeah, those are so tough to come by now, man. I used to be able to get my hands on them. I got it for a couple of my friends, and then now it's just like everybody and their grandma wants them, and the price just keeps going up and up,
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. It's kind of funny that I was shopping for that just today, though, and you break it out like that.
Yeah, so that's got two ounces of every bottle that I've ever drank or anybody's ever killed over here.
Okay.
It's got to pay the toll. So it's a Boo Rye. It's got some not good, and then some really good stuff in it,
Have you sampled it? Is it decent?
Oh yeah, I drink it because I got new bottles that I kill or somebody kills, so I try to keep it rolling to where it's not the same flavor,
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, Infinity bottles are a cool concept.
We just started trying to age a couple barrels, and I'm scared to death about losing the majority of it because that's a costly endeavor. We bought a 5-gallon barrel. and soaked it. Everything went well. We bought a bunch of Buffalo Trace White Dog.
I
I
saw
couldn't
that.
get
I saw you post about that.
I couldn't get Matt or Seth to give me any White Dogs. I said, I'm not letting you mess up my stuff. But, so we went ahead and got the Buffalo Trace, which, I mean, it's costly. And man, I'm talking to people and they're saying, I'm losing 2/3, 3/4. Somebody said I lost 5/6 of what we put in. I'm like, oh my
Man.
goodness gracious.
Yeah. And where you storing it at?
So it's in a buddy's room, like upstairs. It's like what would have been attic space, but they finished it. But he's got a motion detector on the thermostat, so it'll get up to about 80 during the day, come
Yeah.
down to about 75 at night. The juice stays about 75, so hopefully it won't be too bad. We've lost some in the past month, and I've got 2 small barrels, 2 5-liter barrels that we got some leftover White Dog to put in that, and I wanted to double oak some Old Granddad 114, but man, if I'm gonna lose it like that, I don't know if I want to do it or not.
You ought to go get some white rum and try that. Try some black pearl and put it in there, and then put your bourbon in after that.
Come on, okay.
Yeah, that'll give you a unique flavor, and you're really not gonna like that rum can take that high heat, so you'll transfer a lot of flavor in that small barrel.
Okay. Now, when you do that on a barrel like that, does the devil's cut of that rum stay in the wood staves and kind of keep you from losing a lot of your
Yeah, I
bourbon when you
mean,
put it in?
you got to think the higher proof that you get, you're going to have just a lot more alcohol content in there, just like
Hmm.
bourbon, But
Right.
the that lower proof stuff gets real, like if it's really good stuff, gets real thick and viscous, and it'll stick to the side of the wall of that barrel.
Gotcha. Well, I definitely may try that.
Yeah. I mean, it'll just give you a little bit different flavor profile, and then you can go in and put your like regular finished bourbon in there to give it some good flavor.
Right. Man, I tell you what, I might only be able to drink that in the barrel proof single barrel format. That is delicious.
Oh man, it's so
It
good.
is so good. And it does not drink the proof, man.
No, definitely not. And it
It's
looks,
115, and I bet it's drinking 100 in my opinion.
I know, I love our higher proof stuff. Really is awesome. It makes for a good cocktail, and also is really good neat.
Yeah, I prefer most whiskeys neat. The wife finally got into some whiskey cocktails this past weekend at Chattanooga. So, did we lose Luka again?
Yeah, he's got to be hopping back on here shortly.
Maybe I need to send him another
Probably
invite.
so.
It's asking me to. So
Yeah, there you go.
it's adding. So
There he is. Welcome back.
and we're back. You're muted. Your mic's muted, brother.
Hit the microphone.
You got a little microphone button on your screen. These Facebook Lives are not very easy, man. They always make me nervous.
Yeah.
I laid awake worrying about it last night.
I don't know how he got muted. We could hear him fine for a while.
Yeah, he's working fine earlier. It's never easy. It's Facebook, man. Call your tech support in there, Luka.
Yeah, call in Nicola from the bullpen. Nicola's his youngest son.
That's how I work, man. My middle daughter, she's tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me feel like an idiot. But there again, we put a phone in her hands when she was just a few months old, right?
Right. My son's one. If I leave my phone out, the first thing he goes for. He don't care about anything else. Not his toys, not nothing. Just wants my phone.
Let's see if I can find Luka.
Might need to restart his app.
He may. Funniest thing was when I tried to start this earlier and tried to invite y'all, it wouldn't bring y'all up. But I sent you video earlier where it was letting me bring you. You muted again, brother.
See if
He's
you
like,
can shut your app down, like close the app and restart it, and then
swipe up.
fire it up again. Yeah, swipe up on it.
Call in tech support.
It's just some poor fella named Mark in India. What's
Right.
up? What's up, Joe Q? That's our VP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riley said he was going to tune in tonight as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Well, cool. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll get started and let Luka work on his tech issue there.
Yeah, he'll pop back in here in a second.
I just don't know if he needs me to send the invite or if he can get in without it. I'm gonna go back.
I'd imagine he's gonna have to get you to send it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Oh, having a pour of the Irish Channel single barrel from Mr. Beyond the Barrel Bourbon. That's my friends Eric and Phil. They do their own kind of podcast and their own live reaction show on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really cool guys. They've had me and Luke on a couple times, and they came and toured the distillery, and they make good content.
Send me a link, man. I'd like to follow them.
I
I try to
will.
learn about everybody out there that I can.
I definitely will.
Let's see. I'm gonna try one more time to bring Luka back on. It's saying I can't join your broadcast at this time. Unable to add guests. Come on, man. All right, it just said invite, said adding.
All right, there we go.
I hate these Facebook.
There he is.
I think he's good. Hey, we got you now, baby.
Man, I had that mute button and I kept hitting it and it just wouldn't work because I had to X out everything. I ain't messing with anything now.
Perfect.
Well, good deal. Well, it's time. I think we'll get started, guys. We got a few people on, so I guess we're probably all sipping on some of the similar stuff from 7.3, but this is a barrel pick that we did, or a barrel fill your bottle kind of thing that they've got at 7.3. Luka will give you his famous John Handy right there. So I kind of hated to break it open, but it's all that I had. Plus, it was the only barrel proof stuff that I had from you guys. So I definitely wanted to try it, and I love it. So we got Adam, we got Luka, the Distiller, 7.3 in New Orleans. And tonight we just want to talk a little bit about the history of 7.3 and kind of what they've got going on and where they're going, because I think you guys have some exciting stuff going on. Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself and the history of 7.3.
So I'm the brand director. I'm in charge of all sales and marketing. I get to do a little bit of the whiskey blending. I run the social media accounts. It's a really fun job, and I'm really fortunate to have it. So for the meaning behind 7.3 comes from the 73 original neighborhoods of New Orleans. So each one of our neighborhood line goes back to a different neighborhood in New Orleans. So we have St. Roch Vodka, Black Pearl Rum, Gentilly Gin, Bywater Bourbon, and Irish Channel Whiskey, and also our Marigny Moonshine. It's really cool that we get to take pieces of the city that people may have visited or stayed in on vacation or had a great restaurant, went to a great restaurant in, and they can kind of take those memories home and have a glass of it. And every time they open up a St. Roch vodka or a Bywater 4-grain bourbon, they can remember about, oh, I stayed at this great Airbnb in the Bywater. I had a great meal at, all these great restaurants, and now they kind of take a little bit of piece of New Orleans back with them. So, like I said, really deep history here when it comes to spirits, home of the cocktail. So what we try to bring is all aspects outside tequila. We can kind of hit every single mark throughout our lineup with a different history and a different spirit.
No doubt. And I noticed when we came into the bar there where we were sampling some of your stuff, you guys have the map up and on the wall. So like wallpaper, the map of the New Orleans. And I thought that was really cool as well.
Yeah, it's a cool photo opportunity for two things. Like when you have, for somebody who might not have ever been to the Bywater, they drink it and it goes, oh, where's Bywater at? They can look directly on the map and see exactly where it's at. Another thing is, like, for Instagram, it's really nice because it provides a cool backdrop that's its own thing in the city, or for Facebook or whatever. And social media is a big push for us. Doing things like this and getting the name word out on the distillery is huge. So providing the cool spot for great cocktails and good pictures is definitely high on the priority list.
So how long have you guys been around? When did y'all really start? And did y'all ever source juice, or did you distill your own stuff to begin with?
So we started in early 2018. We really started laying juice down in 2020, late 2019, 2020. We were doing our own stuff all at that point in time. We've kind of expanded what we're doing now with the bourbon boom and the high demand for local bourbon. We're a small distillery. We can only produce about 1.5 barrels a day. So we've had to kind of look to outside sources with different aspects of doing things with blending our own stuff that's in our 4-grain, and then bringing in some custom mash bills and custom things that will be centrally owned by us, and we own our own maturation process with being in New Orleans. So even though if we get a bourbon that may be a 5-year-old bourbon, once it sits in our warehouse, it's going to be completely ours due to all the weather conditions that go with it, because we are not temperature controlled. So whatever Mother Nature has for us in the city, if it's 100 degrees with 100% humidity or 50 degrees with 0% humidity, it affects the barrels a little bit differently here than it would in Kentucky or Canada or wherever. So, it's really cool that we get to kind of put our own signature spin on things.
So Luka, you're the distiller there. Tell me a little bit about how you got started with them, where they found you, and where you're going with this
Hey,
place.
first of all, I'm gonna tell you, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having us on. I see some
Absolutely.
great followers of ours, family, friends, everybody joined in today. Every time we do something, it's a fun event. We get to talk about what we do, and a big part about what we do is truly the story. The story of I see a bunch of brands behind you back there. Our brand director Adam's got a Bywater and Whiskey Tree showing off in front of him, and it's the story that goes into the experience in the bottle. Where they found me is in the swamp, if I'm being perfectly honest, man. I'm
Come on.
born and raised down here. I'm first generation born and raised here. In southern Louisiana. My family's from Croatia. In Croatia, we have great vineyards. We make wine. We byproduct of wine is brandies. So, but my family came over here and got in the oyster industry in the early 70s. So I grew up commercial fishing, growing up on the bayou, doing things like that. But I truly enjoy making whiskey. I truly enjoy blending whiskey, and I truly enjoy entertaining guests and teaching them how to taste and love the journey of bourbon. Because the story of bourbon ends in New Orleans. I mean, all
Yeah.
the way back to the 1700s when they were putting clear corn whiskey from Bourbon County, Kentucky on rafts. It was taking 7 to 9 months to get down here to where? The Bywater, just like you see on that bottle in front of Adam right there.
Yeah.
The Bywater. And when they cracked that bong on the barrel, they realized it was spoiled. It was no good. It was brown. But the truth came out over time through prohibition and all of that, and people really discovered that they enjoy the flavor of bourbon, and it's an experience. It truly is a journey when you talk about it. It's an experience when you're drinking it, and we love telling it.
No doubt. For me, the beauty of bourbon in itself is when you think about just how organic it is. Like for me, it just resonates with me that wherever the tree is grown, that soil that grows that tree is the same soil and rocks that filters the water. And that's the same soil that grows the grain that we use. And that's all you can have in bourbon, right? You can't add anything other than grain, some wood for the oak in the barrel, and the water. That's all you can have in bourbon. And it just really is a beautiful thing, in my opinion.
You asked a question earlier about, sourcing, making your own, and how do you make it your own and all that. Well, to build on what you're saying, I'm going to call it terroir. And what that is in the wine world is it's kind of like what makes me a Louisianan, you know, it's the environment. That's why every 2 weeks I'll get 12,000 pounds of corn and wheat on a trailer from Port Allen, Louisiana, just across the river and from Baton Rouge, and bring Louisiana corn and wheat to make our Louisiana Bywater bourbon. It's the
Beautiful thing.
terroir. It's the environment that it comes from that gives you the long lasting finish, the flavor, and truly maturing that bourbon in the environment where it was spent all of its life. There's something to say about it, but there's a
I
word
agree.
for it. It's called terroir. And I learned that when I was blending with Nancy Fraley in April in France. I got to
Wow.
really experience terroir and why they use the same three grapes for, cognacs, armagnacs. It's the pretty much the same three grapes that is grown in that region. That they have access to, but it gives it that flavor that everybody's looking for, and that they've become accustomed to expecting when they open up a bottle and taste it.
Well, you mentioned Nancy, and you mentioned the whiskey tree. So you guys have both of those coming up, and I don't know which one, Adam, you'd want to talk about first. But I'm excited about whiskey tree, but I'm
Well,
probably more excited about Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, Nancy Fraley's a legend in the whiskey game, world-class master blender. Been in with her hand in just about every distillery's either influence or she's had to have come up in all their blending meetings. But we're just really fortunate to have her on our side. It started with the Irish Channel whiskey. That was the first ever Irish and American blend done in the United States. She started with that. Her and Luka kind of met and kicked off a friendship that is now budded into an apprenticeship with Luka learning underneath her. And so that part, we're really fortunate. We were actually on a phone call with her today, and she was explaining, kind of to piggyback off of Luka's point about terroir and how barrels actually, with higher humidity, age a certain style of whiskey better. Something that is going to be very much play a part in what is going to give our own signature to this whiskey tree. So we're really, like I said, really fortunate to have her. And the next venture that we're going to be coming out with, like you said, is the whiskey tree. So this is a blend of 5 and 9 year wheated bourbon. It's coming in at 100 proof, double oaked. It is just a really cool expression. We have our own style of aging, like I said, that goes on here. So it's really taken these wheated bourbons and really kind of turned it into its own unique thing. But yeah, we're really excited to get this one out. It should be hitting the shelves in Louisiana within the coming weeks, and then we're pushing for Mississippi before the end of the year. And we're going to be expanding territories, which we'll announce on our social media soon. So
Awesome.
trying to get it out to as many people as possible. We want to own the Gulf Coast when it comes to making bourbon and showing people that we're making great spirits right here in Louisiana.
I'll tell you, you got your work cut out for you. I mean, you guys are right there with them. But man, there are several people out there making some great whiskeys. But I was really surprised when Justin connected me with you guys and we came by and we started sampling your stuff. I didn't know what to expect. Very unique. You guys are definitely putting a different spin on it, but it's freaking delicious in my opinion. I felt like some of the offerings that you showed us the other day were just different than what I've had from anybody else. And I've tried a lot of Louisiana stuff. I've tried a lot of Mississippi, Alabama stuff. So similar environment, right? But yet all unique. But I think that the 7.3 product is delicious. Luka, you had spent some time with Nancy. So in your time of distilling and then having met her, like, what do you feel like she's bringing to the game for you?
But it's so cool, man. This social media stuff is awesome, bud. I'm watching people comment. I'm watching fellow podcasters comment on here and making everybody join in and becoming a family and interacting and everybody learning about different things that we do. I was actually late getting on because I was on a follow-up phone call with Nancy because she was asking me about some of the samples that I had sent, if she could use it in some of her classes that she puts on. That's how much she enjoyed some of those samples that we had sent her. Finishing in this southern heat. There's something to say about this southern heat and about this humidity. People think humidity is not so good for maturation, but it actually brings something special. You just have to know how to work with it to have a good finish. You ask about distillation and maturation. In America, everybody wants to meet the distiller. It's cool, it's fun to talk to people about distillation. In Europe, everybody wants to meet the master blender. So when I'm distilling products and things, may not be coming out, well, just tell me, I'll ask you a question. What industry do you work in that you don't make mistakes? There is none.
That's right.
So what a master blender does is a master blender will enhance what you do well and mask what you do not so well. So it works hand in hand with the journey of making spirits, because let's just face it, they might turn out better than expected, and they may turn out not as good as you were hoping for. So that's where the blending aspect comes in.
And Mother Nature's got a lot to do with it. There's a lot of uncontrolled there, right? That you can't do. And I wish that I could add somebody, because I see that Mike, the big chief with Whiskey Trip, is on.
Yeah.
And I'm honest if I'm saying I don't know how to add a fourth person on, but
That
Mike
makes two of
has
us.
taught me a lot in a small time. I think the world of him, and I
So do I.
appreciate you tuning in tonight, Mike. Um, but yeah, like, that's the one thing. Like when I started the brand of Brutally Honest, I started it from a standpoint of people saying that some of the better known people, I won't say their names, but I hear a lot of people saying, man, they're bought and paid for. You know what I mean? 7-3 is paying Brandon to say that that's delicious, and y'all haven't paid me a dime. And so I want people to know that I'm brutally honest. And if I tell you that I like that, and if I tell you that Balcones wasn't for me, that's my brutally honest opinion, and it's got nothing to do with money. So that's what I'm looking to do, is to go around and find people like you. And I wouldn't have found you without Justin. I would have probably never known where you guys were, because you blink and you go right by your distillery.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful that we got to come in and meet you guys and try some of your stuff. But that's, when I started the brand, people thought, well, he's brutally honest. He's going to just crap on a bunch of brands. He's going to tell us right up that that's garbage. And my wife will tell you, you picked the wrong name. You like way too much whiskey. But I appreciate the art of what goes into this, because there is an art, but then there's a lot with Mother Nature that you can't control that. You're gonna have good barrels, you're gonna have bad barrels. You can have full barrels and you're gonna have dry barrels, right? So that all drives price and everything else. I just really appreciate the art in what you guys do.
Well, I could tell you I appreciate that, but I'm going to add to it, because teaching people how to taste and nose is truly a joy for me in this industry. Because let's just say when we're going through 80 barrels in a day, you might not give that first barrel, credit, because it's your first taste of the day. You have to warm up your palate. You have to settle in, and then you have to go back to. So what you might think might be a blending barrel could be better than a blending barrel for that batch. So there's so many different layers to this business, not only from distilling and maturation, from the marketing aspect, and then teaching people how to truly taste your spirit. So when you're brutally honest with us, brother, it only makes us better. So
And that's what
that's
I
the
would
joy.
hope. That's what I would hope. I talked to Matt a lot about certain things with his stuff. I love critting and stuff, but I do let him know in private certain things that I feel like we could improve on, right? But it's only aiming because I see so much potential in what's going on. Unfortunately for you guys right now, I don't see any improvement. I'm not educated enough to improve upon what you got going on, but you guys are doing a good thing over
Well,
there.
I'm
I like
fortunate.
this. I like to say they watch film in the NFL every Monday. They try to get better every week. You know what I
That's
mean? And
it.
that's what
That's it.
and that's what we're doing. Bringing in the best possible people that we can get in, the coaches, getting out and talking to people such as yourself, or hosting tasting panels or blending classes to really get a feel for what consumers like. And that's really kind of vital for our growth and vital for us hitting a flavor point in each one of our releases or each one of our line extensions that will, be sellable. We don't want to put out something that out there that we don't have true confidence in.
No doubt. Going back to the whole warming up the palate, or just the day-to-day thing, right? I just saw Mike say, "Oh no, I'm sick." I guarantee you, if he's sick right now, his palate is not correct. It's not right. The other night we went out to Malone's. I bought some pretty expensive pours of some things I hadn't had, but I ate a really rich steak, a really rich like appetizer. My palate was off. We go back to my buddy's house and we try some of the heavy hitters that I brought him that he's never tried. Yo, I wasn't feeling any of them that night. And it was because my palate was off because of what I've eaten. But, a lot to be said for a fresh crack on a bottle versus a bottle that's been open for a minute. Like you were saying, come back to it, right? Or work your way through some proof and then come back through and try a lower proof. Like, it's the beauty of whiskey just exceeds anything that I can explain. Like, today you may like it, tomorrow you may not like it. Next month you may love it. So, don't give up on a bottle just because you crack it and you didn't like it off first crack. Give it some time, let it open up, pour it, let it open up. But I think the whole art of whiskey is just a beautiful thing. And the distillation part of it, like you try not to make it sound like it's a huge deal, but it is, Luka, in my opinion, because I mean, you guys are sampling, you're tasting, you're cutting the tails, the heads, you keeping the hearts. Like, I don't even understand all that yet, right? So it is an art to it, and you guys are doing it right.
Well done, Bud. Well said. And I'll tell you, I say that because that's what I want to hear y'all talk more about, the education, teaching people how to taste and respecting the spirit for what it is. And at what point of dinner do you taste it? Before, after, during dessert? What is influencing your palate before you taste? Or, you know, but it's just when I say talk about how many layers there are in this business, just take distilling as a whole, just distilling. You know, I might pull off an average of, say, a 132 or 135 proof. That may work for me. But if you're wherever you are, say, North Alabama, you might need something a little bit hotter, right around 142 proof coming off for maturation that works with you. That's why, I mentioned Dr. Pat Heist, Wilderness Trail. I sat down and had dinner with him one night, and he says, "Luke, I ain't got no secrets. Whatever you want to know, bud, I'll help you with." And at that point, I realized that the unselfishness in this world of bourbon and how teaching each other the word. He knows everything there is to know, just about, in my opinion, for distillation and maturation. But he knows that I could take his recipe and make it down here in New Orleans, and it ain't going to taste like it does when they make it up there in
Nope.
Kentucky.
Nope. It may be better. It may be different. It may be worse. You just don't know. And Philip told me the same thing. He reached out to Seth Detling, or maybe Seth reached out to him. And Seth was open, transparent, shared everything with him. He's like, "Seth, what are you doing? Like, nobody else has been willing to do this with me." He's like, "Bro, do whatever you want to do. You're not going to make my whiskey. You can't.
Yeah.
I can tell you step for step, for what I do. You go do it down there. It's going to be different."
You make friends in this business. You get to know people. Spread the wealth. The wealth is what you learn, because it's truly an art. You have no idea how many people is doing this on a small scale and, at home, just because they enjoy creating things.
Yeah.
And what we have in America is an unsatisfiable palate. That's why you have multiple finishes, in each distillery,
Yeah.
Enjoy them.
And what I really hate, let's go back to the whole Southern thing versus Kentucky thing. I made some people a little disgruntled when I compared. I'll just say I compared some of Seth's Gold 6 year to some George T. Stagg for my palate, for what I like. I love George T. Stagg, you guys. But what does Buffalo Trace have? They have a ton of marketing money. They can market things better than anybody. They can starve the market and drive the price of a bottle like nobody's business. I mean, big bank takes little bank, right? Let's look at what Sazerac's done over the years. I'm not saying Sazerac doesn't have phenomenal juice, because they do, but they also have some that's just very well marketed. Then you look at the guys that are doing it down south that may not have the same budget that they have. Look at the color of this bottle and the age of it. You can't tell me that this doesn't compete with a 15-year Kentucky or 12-year Kentucky, even though it's a 5 or 6 year Southern product. It ages differently here. It ages differently in Texas. So I wish that we could take age statements off. Try the drink and tell me what you think, because it doesn't matter what the age statement says on the bottle. It's what you like and what I like, right? And so I think that guys like yourself, guys like Philip, guys like Matt, guys like Seth are doing some phenomenal things, and people are just scrubbing over them because of some number on a bottle. Oh, it's only 6 years. It's only 4 years. It's not apples to apples, so it's almost not relative.
That's right. I like to say we have to make good juice, tell a great story, and touch a lot of people.
And
Right.
it's all about education too. you know, a lot of people like yourself until, you know, you heard from a friend who heard from a friend that, you know, and we're constantly trying to get our name out there to let people know that we're making quality stuff here. You know, there's no reason to ship, you know, your own local money back up. Like if you're from Alabama, there's no reason to ship your local money up to Kentucky. You know,
That's
come,
right.
you know, Louisiana, there's no reason to get Tito's vodka or in Texas or Woodford, because we're making great stuff right around the corner. And then you might see us, you know, shopping at Rouse's later on that day, and we'll get to sit and talk and get to know the real person. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So a lot of people kind of, with the way that technology and the social media is today, we kind of miss that sense of community. And the really good thing about the whiskey community is most of the people that you encounter are very open, and they want to be friendly. They want to learn more about you as a person and more about what you're doing. So that part's really cool, and that's something that we've kind of leaned into really hard, and it's paid off dividends for us in growth for sure.
And you know, something that just kind of light bulb for me is let's just think about New Orleans for a minute. In my mind, what is New Orleans known for? Great food. I had had some friends recently from Virginia come down and said, "Man, where do we eat?" I said, "Close your eyes and throw a dart. Go there. You will not come up on bad food in New Orleans. They know good food. They have great palates. They know what's up. Why would we think that it would be any different in the whiskey industry? You know what I mean?"
That's right. That's right. And the thing about everybody always wants to talk about New Orleans. What do you go there for? You go there to party, you go there to eat well, and you go there to have a good time.
That's
Well,
right.
a lot of, you know, for the past however long, there's been a big absence when it came from a New Orleans supplier who could deliver all across the board with a myriad of products that were quality. Well, you know, coming into 2024, I think we're hitting our stride in delivering across the whole board of what we have with great products at a good affordable price. And we're, you know, every time we come in, we see people from all over, and they're just happy to be in a New Orleans distillery. And it's really fun to see those light bulb moments, or somebody going to get to pour their own bourbon right out the cask, or meeting
Mhm.
Luka and it makes their trip. Like those things are really fulfilling, and it's really cool to have as a place that people can come enjoy themselves.
Well, you know, Luka makes that moment. It did for me because I didn't know you prior, right? And the moment I laid eyes on you, I'm like, that dude's real. Like he's good people. But I just saw Tyler say the same thing that you were saying, Adam. The fact that you guys are making such a quality product at an affordable price, because we're all out here chasing these high-end bottles, and some of them are good, some of them are just okay, but we're paying secondary price like stupid money, and I have you still behind me. But I'm learning that, man, for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, sub $100, I can find phenomenal juice locally. So why wouldn't I support it? And it makes me excited to do that.
No doubt. And which all the people that you mentioned earlier, um, Distillery Acadiana, Detling, and Crittenden's, we're all coming out with phenomenal single barrels too. So
Yeah.
here's the thing that nobody really wants to mention: like a single barrel of what we're producing is going to be so much more rare than a Pappy, or so much more rare than any of these higher end bottles, just because the sheer volume of what these people are trying to sell
Yes.
is so large. And we're coming out with these small, really cool single barrels that are just awesome. Like we're not putting out any kind of when me and Luca decided to single barrel, it's some of the best stuff we got. And we wanted to have carry the weight of that single barrel name. And that's the thing that we kind of really bring to the table that isn't talked about enough, is like our small distillery single barrel programs that are just I think it's what's really kind of taken our small micro or you know, smaller distilleries to say to the next level, and having them be known across the country.
And you're not selling it for $1,500 a bottle.
No.
And so you guys, all of you that you just mentioned, and Seth tells me, y'all, I feel like Seth could care less about selling whiskey. He couldn't care less. He wants to make it. That's what y'all care about. Obviously, you got to sell it. You got to keep the
Yeah,
doors open. You got to keep the lights on.
yeah.
But y'all really just put the mind and the heart and the love into making the whiskey, and then you sell it at an affordable price. And the single barrel stuff, I mean, this blew me away. Like I just told you, I don't know. I'm coming to buy barrels. I don't know that I'm coming to buy shelters, because I want barrel proof stuff from you guys, right? So, hey, can y'all put me on a barrel? And I
No,
think everybody should do that.
I'll tell you. I thank you for that. And everybody's looking for that single barrel. Everybody's looking for that, that higher proof, that what sets this aside. And if I'm being perfectly honest today, I feel like that's what we came out with when we've come out with our newest polished whiskey tree. I think it's got an amazing story, which is a true story. I don't know if I shared this with you when you were.
No, tell the story of the whiskey tree with us, because
So,
I don't know if everybody listening knows.
first of all, it's a good 8.5, 9 year bourbon. It's I say it's polished, it's weeded, and it's just got a finish that hang around with you throughout the night. And the story is a story that truly inspired us. We talk about New Orleans and where we're at. We're nestled 5 blocks out the quarter. People come to the quarter to eat. People come to the quarter for a great time. But for the most part, it's always been like that. The truth is, we went through a stage in the whiskey world of prohibition, 1920 to 1933, and New Orleans has been referred to as the origin of the cocktail. Do you think people stopped drinking? Absolutely.
Dude, you're hurting my feelings, Adam. I'm trying to listen to Luka. You're drinking something I don't have.
We'll be drinking some
I'm,
on
I'm running.
Saturday.
I'm running out of a bottle that I need. I'm sorry, Luka. He's over there boasting.
So he does that well. I mean, he's a brand director. That's what he's supposed to do. So what happened is people didn't stop drinking, but they had to get the liquor to the city. They had to get the moonshine to the city. The moonshine of the South is the kiln, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And in there's a place called the Honey Island Swamp, Louisiana's last untouched wetlands. And in the swamp, what would happen was the bootleggers would take the high road, which is the shoal, the highest point, the highest land between the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain, and they'd take it all the way to the North Shore, to 190 Trail, which led to a little slough called Maple Slough. It's the most beautiful black, clear water that you can imagine, and it leads to a tree that stands alone. And it stood alone because back in the late 1700s, there was a major fire in the city of New Orleans, and they had to rebuild those buildings. And we believe a lot of that cypress for those buildings came from the Honey Island Swamp. But this tree has a look of its own, and it stood alone because it has a disease called pecky cypress. It's hollowed out, and they didn't have any use for it. Well, they would go out there because they wanted to get away from the G-men, the government officials. They couldn't track them. So they'd get out there, and if you could hold up that bottle for me, Adam, you'll notice that is the tree on the bottle.
That's awesome.
The guy on the left, he's got his boat full of goods coming from the swamp, maybe the kiln, Mississippi, of moonshine. They get out at that tree and they talk strategy, they talk pricing, they talk about things that can help them, prosper in the liquor world. And then the guy on the other boat is the bootlegger coming from the city to exchange goods, to go back to New Orleans and bring all the goods. If you lift up the bottle, you'll notice on the bottom we have the coordinates of the bottle. Obviously, it's 100 proof and it's batch 1, but it is our weeded. But the coolest thing on this label is you'll notice the little black circle. It's 2 hands shaken. All deals are made with a handshake and possibly a wink. And that's how these deals are made in the Honey Island Swamp. And that's how the whiskey tree comes to life. It's through a beautiful story with a polished, beautiful juice that has been finished for over 2.5 years in the sweet southern heat.
So, and there again, you said 2.5 years, but that's southern heat. So we got to think of that like a 6 or 8 year in Kentucky, right?
Yes.
And everything you just said, let's not excuse the history of if these guys had let Prohibition get the better of them, if they had not persevered, we may not be here today talking whiskey.
Never cut the history of bourbon short. It's beautiful. And I'll tell you, a lot of where that story comes from for me is when I visit Kentucky. Just about every distillery likes to tell the history of bourbon and how it finishes in New Orleans.
Yeah, it does.
I get goosebumps when I tell you the story now. I get goosebumps every time I tell guests and I see their faces, because New Orleans plays a very important role in the history of bourbon, and that's what we're here to share.
That's where it come to start and die right there. I mean,
Right.
everything came to, I remember going to Old Dominic and talking to them, and when Domenico would have the whiskey shipped from Ohio down to where they were in Memphis on the river, that's all the age it would get. And they'd take it off the boat, they'd bottle it, and they'd sell it. So, I mean, that's what, a couple weeks tops. But then whiskey started coming down through New Orleans or either up from New Orleans, right? And New Orleans is where it came to live and die. And thank goodness that it's still around.
All of everything we talk about all evolves around a story. Every name, Gentilly Gin, Bywater Bourbon, St. Roch Vodka, Black Pearl Rum, it's all neighborhoods in the city of New Orleans. They all have stories. The Bywater is actually where they say they used to unload those rafts years and years ago, where they originally popped a bong in the barrel. Come visit New Orleans. Come do tours. Come hear the history of bourbon.
Yes. The history of New Orleans in general. So, Adam, batch 5 Bywater Bourbon 4-grain. I'm hearing some stuff on that. What can you tell me about it?
So that's our newest batch that came out. That is, had some people ask in the chat. That is going to be Nancy Fraley's first ever batch of 4-grain that she has blended. It is available in the gift shop now, and it should be hitting shelves here shortly. But we're really excited about that one. It's just super delicate, man. Like, not that our previous batches were bad, right? But you could really tell, when you have a master blender come in and who's got years in the game, and she's using certain techniques when it comes to slow water reduction that she's implemented with Luka, and using those techniques in order to create something that's truly special. And we're really excited to have other people taste it. Another thing that we did for that too, which was pretty cool, is we had a little blending class at the distillery, and we had some people come in and they could create their own custom blends to kind of give us some feedback and have us. We shared that with Nancy as well to give her some ideas on what the crowd of that people that we brought in a little tasting panel, and also people got to buy their own custom blends that night for purchase. Yeah, so it was a really cool event that we're going to be we're going to have upcoming again before Thanksgiving. But yeah, it's $90. You get a free bottle, not a free bottle, you pay $90, but you get an extra bottle of batch 5. And if you want to purchase your own custom blend, it's an additional fee. And you get to blend with Luka, myself, and the other distillers, Chuck and Ryan. So you're getting to ask questions, you're getting to make your own decisions and write down your notes. And it's really an interactive tour concept that we came up with as a team. And we're looking forward to how that's going to grow in the future, because we had 22 spots and they sold out pretty quick. So
that's awesome. Well, let's make sure I don't leave there without a batch 5 in a whiskey tree. So and there again, you're talking about the blending. I've heard of some friends of mine doing some blending that weren't, they're just trying to get into whiskey, but huge respect for blending, because somebody like them going in and blending their own. My buddy that did that told me, man, mine turned out terrible, but he didn't know what he was doing, right? And so there's a huge art there. So I think that's a cool thing to learn. So Saturday we're coming in to look at some experimental barrels. What do you guys have upcoming, and what's going on with this experimental barrel thing that you've got going on?
So we have from our Bywater 4-grain line, the picks that we're doing are all cask strength right now. They're coming in between 109 to 113, 114 proof. And we do have just every one of the 4-grains have been double oaked. So you're getting a double oak spirit on the shelf. For the cask strength store picks that we have experimental wise, we have some honey finish. For our Bywater regular bourbon, we have some cognac finish, which previously held our Irish Channel whiskey. We dumped a single barrel of that, which is available at the distillery now. That is phenomenal at 126.4 proof. And we filled up Bywater 4-grain into that cognac barrel. We also have a barrel aged rum that we dropped at the distillery that San Francisco World Spirits Competition, won a silver medal as a 4-year-old rum finished in rye barrels, which is phenomenal. And we filled that up with 4 grain as well. We're trying to see how all these things come out. And we had toasted barrel as well
Wow.
that y'all will get to taste. We're trying to see how these things come out, man, because, as Luka talked about, the Americans have an insatiable palate. So we have to be able to come out with things that are going to be store picks or distillery releases that kind of keep us on the forefront of innovation, but also coming out with things that just taste phenomenal. Like our honey finish, we got 55 gallons of honey from Brobridge,
I want
Louisiana,
that.
from Bernard's Honey, and then we put that into 4 different barrels with 4 different mash bills, 3 different mash bills, and they came out great, like so good. We dumped the honey out; it tastes phenomenal, and the whiskeys taste just as good. Toasted barrels have been sitting in there for like 5 months, almost 6 months. They're getting like these great chocolatey, almost brownie notes. The rum finish is very rum forward, which is really cool if you like, because I'm a big rum guy when it comes to cast finish stuff. And then the cognac's its own thing. That French oak really gives its own kind of flavor profile to this 4 grain. So really fun things that we have coming down the pipe, and we're working with people like Nancy who have an intimate knowledge of barrel finishes and different techniques that are going to help us create barrels that are truly our own, that when we bring in people for these store picks, they're going to be hopefully unicorns down the line, because when anything she touches pretty much is gold. So it'll be nice when she's helping us with this store pick and the single barrel line.
So Luca, I heard him mention several things that piqued my interest. One thing that I like to bring to people's attention is when we say double oak. I don't think as a consumer we respect what double oak means to you guys. So what I'm meaning is very simple. Look at the amount of trees it takes to make a barrel. You don't get very many barrels per tree. We've got to regrow these trees, and we're talking 30, 40 years to grow an oak tree. So when a distiller or when a brand decides to double oak something, they have said, you know what, the whiskey needs a little more. I'm going to give it a little more. But by me giving it a little more monetarily, it's costing me exponentially to take that next barrel, because we're talking new barrel to new barrel. And once these barrels are done, we ship them off to somebody else in Scotland or wherever. So there's a cost there. But then you talk about going back with a finish and the intricacies of finishing barrels. So with honey, maybe not as intricate, but when you start talking about the French oak and some of these different finishes, man, you guys have to check these things very specifically, very periodically, because if you let it go not long enough, it doesn't make the impact. If you go too long, it ruins the whiskey. So tell me a little bit about what that's like, because I want people to understand there's a huge cost associated with this. And so when I go buy a bottle and I pay X number of dollars for it, and it's double oak, cask strength, barrel proof, whatever, like I've got to respect the fact that that just cost you a ton of money to provide me that.
That's exactly right. And I got to say, I love this guy, Adam. He knows what the market will bear. He knows what people are looking for. And we talk about the blending class and how people come in. I just seen Shane, and a couple other people that was on in the blending class, and they swear that their blend was the best. And people are like, Luka, how do you know what people like? How do you know what the market likes? Because we bring people in and they tell us what they like after blending. But when you talk about the price of a bottle, when you talk about what it goes into, it's not just about walking by and seeing the price of a bottle. Think for a second, okay, what drove that price to be where it's at? The price of bourbon is all over the place. But when you're talking about a double oak, yes, to be a bourbon, it has to be a brand new American white oak charred barrel, right? So if I take that same recipe, if I dump that barrel and I go back in it a second time, we got to call it whiskey, right?
That's right.
So we're taking that out of there, and we say, you know what, for whatever reason, if I want to cater to the market that likes more of a woody flavor in their bourbon, more of an oaky flavor, we're going to do it. Or maybe because the bourbon isn't where it wants to be and I want to accelerate it, I'm going to put it in a brand new barrel. Yes, that does boost up the price also. But at the end of the day, what drives the price isn't always the market. It's what goes into building the journey that gets me my spirit to the flavor of what I think this crowd is looking for.
Right.
But most of all, when I talk about Adam, when I talk about Chuck, when I talk about Ryan, all the ambassadors that greet the guests when they come into our facility, it's the team together that adds stuff to making the best spirit that we could possibly make at our facility to deliver to the market.
No doubt. And I was talking to you guys before we got started about us aging in some smaller barrels. I think we've got a 5-gallon barrel and a 5-liter barrel. And I've talked to a bunch of people that have lost a lot, right? So there's a lot that's lost to evaporation. So when we go from one barrel, we've got Angels or Devil's Cut there that we've lost, right? That was money that you guys put in. Then we double oak it. And I know it's not the same amount of loss, but you're going to have loss there as well. And so there is a huge cost that goes into it. And I think sometimes we as consumers don't appreciate that on top of you guys have to keep the lights on. You've got people like Adam, you get people like yourself that need to, feed your families on top of the grain and everything else that you had to buy to make that bottle of whiskey. So I think sometimes we snub our nose at stuff, not understanding what it costs to make phenomenal whiskey.
Yeah, thank you for taking note of that. There's a lot of layers, once again, that I talk about with the business, but you're getting a lot of people in the market getting into blending multiple bottles and wanting to experiment, like you're saying, about getting a smaller barrel and putting something in it and then tasting it. Oh, it's not great. Let me blend it with this. Let me blend it with that. What people don't realize is when I talk about these multiple layers in the business of maturation, blending, and all of that, the end stage is the blending stage. And a crucial part of that stage that people miss is that sexaderm stage of marriage. You have to let it marry, and it could take up to 2 weeks to get to the flavor that you've created that you're not going to get in that first day because you're excited about tasting it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Allow it to come together. It's like a good gumbo. It's always better the next day.
Good analogy.
Same thing with bourbon.
Good.
And I think another thing too that goes back to Luka kind of hinted at it, like people just like different things. Like you talk to a guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a big double oak guy." Talk to another guy, "Oh, I love Amburana." Talk to another guy, is like me personally, I love rum finishes. So it all goes back to like people have their like. Obviously, everybody for the most part likes regular bourbon, but when you find that niche of something that you really like, you kind of tend to go back to it or be willing to take a flyer on a bottle that you might not have heard of or might not have ever tried before just because it's the same style of finish that you like. So when we take that into account and then we want to make sure that our stuff is the absolute best flavor profile that we can come up with, we don't want anything sitting on the shelf. We want stuff to be drank, talked about, and then get all you and your friends to go buy another bottle so you can do it all over again at a party.
Absolutely. It takes it because you're on the back end. You guys are investing the money to start the next barrel, the next distillate, right? And that I can't imagine how difficult that may be to try to appease the masses when it comes to that, because like you said, it's a diverse mass that you're trying to hit, right?
And our owner, Jeff Rogers, is super committed to making sure that we're putting out top-notch stuff. He's in the warehouse. Him and Luka are tasting barrels. He gives Luka notes on what he likes and doesn't like. He started off as somebody who was not maybe as educated in bourbon as he wanted to be. And then now since he's committed to doing that, like Luka leans on him a lot because he might not have the most sophisticated palate, but he definitely knows what he likes and he makes it known, and we're super thankful for that because he's definitely like grown a lot in tasting, especially our stuff.
Well, I'll be here to tell you that, from what you showed us when I came there with Ivan and them, and from what I'm sipping tonight, like I'm going to end up crushing this bottle. Like I opened this today and I sent a friend here in Birmingham a sample of it because he'd never had it. And I was like, I'm opening it tonight anyway, so I'll go ahead and do it. But from everything that you offered us to this, like whatever he's telling you guys, y'all are hitting the mark. you're doing it right.
Thank
So,
you. We appreciate
and
that.
there
We
again,
appreciate that for sure.
that's my opinion, and I tell you if you were missing the mark from my opinion, but
I mean,
um,
people like yourself, some of the awards that we've entered, like the Ascot Awards and San Francisco World Spirits Competition, IWSC International Wine Spirits Competition, they came back and they've given us some awards that we've been very happy with, and then we have also some stuff that we want to keep striving for and trying to hit better marks, and so we made a little splash, but there's always room for improvement, like we spoke about earlier. So more fun and exclusive things going to be coming soon for 7-3 Distilling.
and that's that's kind of how I am as a person. Like I told a manager years ago, I was like, look, I appreciate the pats on the back. They're good. Sometimes they're needed. For me, I want to know the improvement. Give me the constructive criticism. Where can I be better? And so you guys are doing that, and so you're striving for greatness. Um, what do you guys have as far as some upcoming stuff outside of the experimental barrels?
So Whiskey Tree Weeded launches in a few weeks. We just took a huge shipment of high rye barrels that are going to be our newest blend of Whiskey Tree High Rye that's going to be coming in a few months. Hopefully, we're going to try and get it out around Thanksgiving, hopefully faster. But we're really excited about that one as well. There's going to be line extensions. This line's going to grow. It'll be a national release. We're going to get it in as many states as we can service. And then, single barrels and experimental barrels after that. And, hopefully single barrels of the Whiskey Tree down the line as well. So,
Awesome.
and we're going to be experimenting with some different things with Nancy. She's got a couple of suggestions to things that she likes or she thinks will do well in the market. And, you definitely don't take those suggestions lightly. You want to make sure you're giving them the full weight.
At all. No doubt. Well, and I tell you, Saturday coming up. I mean, you guys talk with Bobby and them a lot, but they're very passionate in helping people like yourself to get into other markets. So,
And that'll be
they'll
our
definitely be
first
out.
barrel. That'll be our first barrel pick for Mississippi. So we want to make sure we give them something that's going to be phenomenal. We want to make sure we're bringing to the people who love New Orleans. It'll give them a reason to go back and visit every time they crack open a bottle. You know what I mean? So
I,
that's our mode for Saturday. That's what we're going to be looking for.
I'll go back to what I said about New Orleans earlier. You can close your eyes, throw a dart, hit a barrel, and you guys are going to hit a home run. So y'all are doing it right. Luka, we're running out of time, I guess, but on closing notes, what do you have for the people that are continuing to follow us?
Man, I've seen a lot of names come across here tonight. A lot of people, that's been in the distillery, been in blending classes. We love entertaining guests. We love touching guests. We love seeing people and hearing about people enjoying the experience we have to offer. We have the longest copper bar in the city of New Orleans. We're nestled 5 blocks out the French Quarter. You bring your family when they're in town for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. Come pick up a basket of our old-fashioned basket, or maybe a Gentilly gin basket. Just come enjoy yourself and really see what we're doing. And I thank you very much for having me, man. Having us tonight talk about our spirits and life's an experience, man. It's up to you to enjoy it.
Well, I think both of you guys. I mean, I think both of you guys are phenomenal. You're people. You're a people kind of person, and I just felt the warm welcome from both of you immediately. But on top of that, you're making great juice, and that's what I'm about. I'm about promoting good juice from smaller distilleries that people may not know about yet, or So everybody. It's easy to push the bigger brands, but there's so much great stuff being made. I like to hunt, and the whole thing for me started with hunting whiskey, and all I knew to hunt was what my buddy told me was good because I didn't know, right? And then I started tasting stuff, and I'm like, he wasn't right. This is good. That's not good. So I started hunting that. But I'm walking by stuff like this on the shelf because I don't know. I have no clue about Crittenden. I don't have a clue about 7-3 or Bywater. And, a good friend of mine, TJ, that's on my Facebook group, kept pasting Bywater. I was like, what is Bywater? And it wasn't until Justin introduced me to you guys. So now when I see you on the shelf, I'm not walking by it. And that's the beauty of whiskey. There's so much that we walk by on the shelves because we don't know about them that we go going to end up learning about if we just seek it out. And it's some phenomenal Jews, but on top of it is some great people. So I just appreciate you guys for coming on, talking about what's going on with 7-3. And Adam, I'll give it to you to close out.
So the number one thing that you kind of harped on, which is my favorite thing that got me into whiskey so much that I went and made it my career, is trying everything. I love going in and trying everything from stuff that was made pre-prohibition, 1920s, 1940s, all the way up to the current stuff craft distilleries or even the bigger distilleries are making now. Why? Because each little bit of oxidization, each little bit of that specific barrel, each little bit of whatever that master distiller was doing is creating its own signature profile that makes it really fun to chase. So that part, I totally agree with you. That's what got me into it as well. And I think, to close it out for what we're doing, we're pedal to the metal, man. Like that's the one thing that we have that's in our back pocket. We're not letting up, and that comes from a sales side, a marketing side, offering tours to guests, coming up with new experimental fun finishes. Like we're not slowing down. We're only going up. And so that part about it for me is really exciting as being in charge of the sales and marketing side of things. I just get really excited with I know where we were a year ago. And we've grown so much in 1 year. Where will we be 2 years from now, 3 years from now? How many more people are we going to get like yourselves who might have not have ever tried us before, but they come back to us and say, "Man, I love your distillery. I love what you're doing." So that's really the biggest part about where we have is like our ceiling's very high, in my opinion. So thank you again for having us on. It was really good getting to talk our stuff. And anybody that's out there, book a tour with us. You never know who you'll see in the distillery, whether it be myself or Luka. If you do see us, please come up and say hi. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to talk whiskey with you, and we'll show you around and give you a great time.
And I'll go back and say, we didn't talk enough about. We talked about distilling. We talked about all the art and intricacies of making the actual whiskey. We didn't talk a whole lot about getting it to market, like the headaches that you guys have of getting your product to market and getting it shared out there amongst all these others is very difficult. And so for what you guys